Okay. So this is 2022. So I just started record, so feel free to talk if you want. So what did you think of 2022 overall? Snackugo?
What was that? Sorry.
Sorry, I just said I hit record and
Oh, I'm sorry.
you're okay. Okay. So what did you think of 2022?
I thought it was a pretty solid year. I wouldn't go out of my way to say it was like stellar, like some people are saying. You know, I thought there were like a lot of big games. I thought a lot of these big games kind of flopped. But I mean, I played a decent chunk of stuff on top of like doing stuff for YouTube, so I guess that says quite a bit. I mean, like, I don't want to come off as someone who like is saying that it was a bad year just because there wasn't a lot for me, but like, I don't know.
I mean, we got a variety of games from what I saw from games I haven't played that showed up at the Game Awards, like Plague's Tale and Stray. I do want to play. I need to play Stray someday.
I mean, I look at Stray and I'm just like, hard pass. That looks like walking simulator. Same with Plague Tale. They both look like walking simulators to me.
Well, I mean,
like,
I looked at
I'm good.
I looked at Plague Tale footage, and I'm like, this is literally The Last of Us.
Yeah, but like set in like
it's in like
super
medieval.
things.
Like it's not a zombie apocalypse, futuristic zombie apocalypse. It's
exactly.
It's just like a fantasy world, and I'm like, that just turns you, because I'll say this later because Last of Us Part 1 came out this year, but The Last of Us worked because it's a zombie apocalypse. In those types of situations, like, they push our characters to the breaking point sometimes, and I love it. It's good character interaction. But
I didn't play The Last of Us. I've never played it. Probably not going to. Probably not going to see the TV show either. Like, if I were to get into The Last of Us, that'd be the easiest way to do it. I mean, it looks very pretty, but like, it's like Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Forbidden West is like a pretty looking game. There's just nothing to it. There's just nothing. It's boring. And that's kind of how I feel about The Last of Us. Anytime I see it, I just look at it. I'm like, this just looks super boring.
Horizon's anything but a walking simulator.
I don't know, man. It's like Assassin's Creed, and like,
it's like Breath of the Wild, but more engaging gameplay, and the story was an actual story.
I don't know about all that. I mean, like
it's I was gonna get you a Christmas gift this year, but then I realized you don't celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, I was gonna get you like Horizon Zero Dawn because it's one of my favorite games, and then like, because I was gonna tell you, like, if you run out of arrows, well, in the battle you could make more. Like, it's literally just Breath of the Wild, just more engaging because you have to like make your stuff during battle, and like, it's not like it's real time. It's slowed down so you can make it. It's so engaging. Plus, a realized world where machinery has taken over, like, and like people regress to like medieval times. I really love it.
I mean, I tried playing the original back when it came out. I thought it was really boring. Like, I thought the story was really boring. I think the mechanical dinosaurs are stupid. Like, that's just not cool. I think Aloy specifically in the second game, she's a little too aggressive. Like, my friend bought the game to play at my house on my PS5 when the game launched.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching him play it because I'm just like, yeah, sure, go ahead. The game looks beautiful. Like, it looks next gen. It's like, if you're looking for a game to showcase your new hardware with, that's the game to do it. But like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm listening to these characters talk and I'm like, okay. So Aloy's like aggressively telling them that she has to do something, and they're just like, okay, sure, yeah, go do the thing. And like, I guess like it's cool that you can, like, in concept you can make arrows while you're battling, but like, is there not a smoother way of doing that? You know what I mean? Like, if you wanted it to feel like more realistic, wouldn't you make it a little bit more difficult to make arrows, so you have to like kind of pull out like how a real fight would go if that were the scenario? Like, I get that it's a video game at the end of the day, but it's like, I'm not really, like, the dynamic gameplay is always like, oh, here is monster, shoot until monster dies, and then, or shoot until arrows run out and fix arrows. And you have like different weapons, sure, but like, it all boils down to the same thing.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
In my opinion, I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think the game gets going after you leave your like main area and like start exploring the world. But that's just me. So I talked
I mean,
about.
are we allowed to talk about remasters in this?
I was going to talk about The Last of Us Part 1, which is a remake.
Yeah, so yeah, go ahead.
So, The Last of Us is a very personal game for me because I first played it in 2020, and it was a time when like I was just depressed like through and through, and I'm like I'm just itching to do something. Then Black Friday comes, I pick up The Last of Us Remastered on PS4, and then the storytelling just brought me to tears. Like it's a very I fucking love The Last of Us. It was an excellent game for me. And you may call it a walking simulator, but there's more to it than just walking. Because there are combat encounters in this game. And unlike Uncharted, where like you have to fight the enemies, in The Last of Us, you have an option to either fight them or stealth or pass through them stealthily. So it's pretty much a stealth game, but you can take the action element from Uncharted and put it in there. But
is it an open world game, or is it like a linear?
It's a linear romp.
Okay.
It's not Sly Cooper.
Okay, I'm comparing it to another game that just literally got an update the other day, and because they added a camera angle that looks very similar to the way The Last of Us camera angle looks for like the update for The Witcher 3, and I'm like, I literally cannot fathom how you could like. Why would you like this camera angle?
Why,
you know what I mean?
Why is there a third-person camera angle for The Witcher 3, a game that's basically sword-to-sword combat? That makes no sense.
Well, it is. Well, it's third-person anyways, but like the camera used to be zoomed out. But you know that like behind the back.
Oh, they zoomed it in, like God of War 2018.
They zoomed.
I fucking hate that.
Yeah, so like The Last of Us has that too, and I don't like that. And
The Last of Us, you're mostly using guns. You're not using melee weapons.
That's true, but like. It's still like just not fantastic.
I don't know. I think the story really carries it.
Yeah, I mean the story is like I'm not gonna even like question the story. I've heard the story is amazing. Like that's why I'm even considering watching the TV show. But like also like I call it walking simulator. Like I'm not comparing it to Death Stranding, which is literally walking simulator. I'm just saying like vaguely like it just kind of looks like that when you're playing the game. Like when you're watching someone review The Last of Us, like a lot of like what they show is just like them talking to the characters, and it's just like it's the same static animation, very familiar camera angles. It's just like it feels the same throughout the entire experience, and it's just like I don't feel that level of progression as I go through. In the story I would, because obviously the story would ramp up, and I'm sure it's like Plague Tale where you're not supposed to get that much stronger as you go on, but like it's more about the story than the actual gameplay. But
I feel like The Last of Us is like a good mix between story and gameplay, because in the gameplay there's more than just shooting and stealthing. Like you have to figure out these enemy patterns, and you have like this here over mode. I don't know what it's called. I literally played it like a week ago. How am I forgetting it already? But like listen mode, and you can like see through walls to hear like enemies and see like a white outline of them and like them walking in patterns. Like you have to like strategically think of what you're doing on the doll, and that's probably why I like it, like the gameplay of it, because it's in time and you don't think of it while you're doing it. Like if you just stand there, the enemies are going to find you eventually.
Yeah.
Also, why so The Last of Us Part 1 is probably going to be the way I revisit the game in the future, because they updated it.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume so.
So, 4K 30 FPS mode or 1440p... No, sorry. 4K 40 FPS mode or 1440p 60 FPS mode. Game looks beautiful, I'm just going to say that.
Yeah. Because I mean, frames over resolution 12 out of 10 times, but that 40 hertz is a nice sweet spot, I guess.
The 40 FPS is not that bad, honestly. It's just a bit unnatural because it's either 30 or 60 most of the time.
Exactly.
I think it's a way of showing that Naughty Dog's gonna eventually be able to do 4K 60, which would be a godsend because we could get the best of both worlds.
I mean, if we wanted the best of both worlds, they would just make Jak and Daxter games again while they make these stupid movie-like games that no one cares about.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah, I just want Jak and Daxter. Yeah, I'll take Sly Cooper, honestly. I've never played those games. Naughty Dog's such an annoying company because like I feel like they've grown up like in my era. So like when I was a kid, it was Crash Bandicoot, very childlike. When I was like 8, 9, 10, Jack and Daxter was coming around, and it was like the time I was starting to get a bit older, and Jack and Daxter kind of like turned up like that 90s edginess I grew up alongside, and like they just stopped doing that for like Uncharted, which is like barely a video game. It's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Uncharted is basically just a dumb action movie with gameplay elements.
Yeah, it's just like it's just like I don't want that.
I know it's not your thing, but it's people's thing, and I don't blame them for. I enjoy Uncharted somewhat.
I blame them. We could be getting actual god tier platforming games.
I don't know.
The same game 4 times.
I don't know. Jak 2 and Jak 3 really didn't do it for me.
I mean, that's, I guess, for another topic of discussion.
Yeah.
A re-release I played, and I am currently playing as I am here now. Well, I'm not playing it right now, but Persona 5 Royal just came out 2 months ago on Steam and the next-gen consoles and Switch. I guess that's a big deal.
I was on Metacritic the other day, and they said that the Switch version of P5 Royal was a must-play. I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm guessing they're implying that the Switch is your only console.
I mean, fair. I mean, yeah, no one's not gonna have the PS5 or Series X, but they're still on. It's on Xbox One as well, and it's one of the top 15 best-selling consoles, so people have it. Like, and also most of the time,
Xbox One.
Yeah. Whenever
Metacritic people had that,
I have it.
Exactly. You're one of the 4.
I'm one of the 4. But like most of the time on Metacritic, like the top rated games on there are mostly the Xbox One versions.
I mean, irregardless, I'll just say it's a beautiful game. Spoiler alert, it's my favorite game of all time. It's not gonna win my once we do the what's your game of the year question. I'm assuming at the end of this. It won't be my game of the year. I don't think that's fair.
I feel like it would be a 2020 game of the year since it came out in America that year.
Yeah.
Or if we want to go by when it originally came out, 2019, I guess, but I mostly don't do that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game. It's my favorite game of all time. I think it is far and away the greatest game ever made. I think, and I don't really know what else to say that wouldn't just give away what the experience is like. I could also say it's like a super personal game to me, but for a lot of different reasons. Like, I played Persona 5 before I played Persona 5 Royal, and I played Persona 5 Royal during the pandemic, and I was playing with someone who is now a good friend of mine, and while we were playing, we just exchanged messages every day, just talking about our experiences, and it was like that. It's like back to when I played Breath of the Wild for the first time, and I was just like, yo, did you do this? Have you seen this yet?
So it's like one of those games where it's a magical experience that you either experience the first time, and it's just fun to share what you think of it while you're playing it with friends.
Well, it's more like just because I played and I was playing with someone simultaneously, essentially. That's why it was great. But the main reason is this is the game that makes me want to be a content creator. This is the game that makes me want to it makes me want to make videos, even if I haven't made the Persona 5 video, just because I look at that game and I'm like, not only is the game, I feel, wildly disrespected amongst the medium, but it's just the thoughts that I have, the feelings I have towards the game is probably just the most interesting thing I could say about gaming in general. So that'll come out eventually. That'll come out in 2023, I hope. So look out for that. But just in general, Persona 5 Royal, I love it. It's awesome. Runs at 120 FPS on Steam. That's pretty wild. So
I saw on Twitter, I saw you released your ultra widescreen. You found the ultra widescreen hack, and I saw you.
Yeah, I had to turn it off.
What did they do? They stretched it out.
Well, it's not. It's not. I mean, that's just someone who's doing it the day after the game comes out. You gotta. I'm sure there's a better fix for it now that I could actually play it if I wanted to. I'm cool with it. I'm too lazy to figure it out.
I mean, I don't know. I look at it and it's kind of, it just looks wrong to me because the UI looks very fucking pretty. I'm gonna be honest. But
yeah.
But it's, I don't know. It's I might pick it up on my PC. like I said, my PC might catch fire.
Yeah, I mean it's an old game. It's a game designed and.
I mean the original resolution before Royal was 720p. So if I could,
it's a PS3 game, so it's like it probably won't do too much, and it's like 20 gigs big. So.
Yep.
So not too bad.
Yep.
What do you got?
So I'm looking at my list of games on backlog. We could talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't think I know Protector hasn't played this one.
Yeah.
But so I went to New York in September because I'm a theater kid. I watch musicals all the damn time.
That's cool.
But while I was waiting for my show to open, I decided to go to the Nintendo store in New York, and I saw Legends Arceus had a price drop from $60 to like $45, I think it was. So I picked it up, and I planned to pick it up at the beginning of the year, but I was a senior in the beginning of the year, so I was pretty fucking busy with finals and stuff. So I played it, and with college giving me a more lenient schedule, so I could be able to play more games than I could have. But I played it, and after the first wild area, I dropped it. Then like a week or two later, I finally picked up. Then I dropped it and picked it up. And I feel like Legends Arceus is the game you don't want to binge play, if that makes sense.
I definitely agree with you there.
So Sinnoh is my third favorite region. Yeah, third, because Alola's and Unova are my favorites. But I like Gen 4. I think it has really cool Pokemon designs, and I'm interested in the story and the world. Then when I learned that it's like it takes place in the past, I was intrigued to see how it would start, if that makes sense. But I feel like Legends Arceus is... this is hard to explain. It gets repetitive after a while. That's how I feel, because the whole point of the game is that, oh, this is the first Pokedex that Sinnoh's ever gonna make, and we need your help to catch all these Pokemon while this rift in the sky is getting bigger. And you're mostly just catching the Pokemon if you're not doing the story, and outside, it just gets repetitive because there's so much shit to do in the Pokedex that isn't just catch the Pokemon. You have to watch them do a particular move, you have to watch them, you have to see if they do style, agile style or strong style. You have to catch ones of different sizes, ones of different weights. It just gets, and it sucks because it's tied to progression. Because you have to be a certain star rank to get to the next wild area, aka to the next story progression. And I think if they just lowered it, I wouldn't be so dour on it. But since it's like you have to be at the halfway point to get to the final wild area, it just turns me off.
Yeah, I mean, I never finished the game. I got to the last area, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
I got to like the post game and beat the one of the legendaries. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's pretty repetitive. I just think that like where the game like really is good is that it's just so much different. It's a great showcase of what Pokemon should have been for a long time.
Also, it was really challenging.
Yeah, it's more of an action game than it is like a turn-based strategy game. Like, and the battling is almost irrelevant in this game. And like, I don't really prefer that over traditional battling. Like, the appeal of Pokemon, even though it is simple, is like strategizing how to beat the Pokemon.
I wish there was more battling in this game. There's a character you run into, and he's like, "Oh, I'm from this world of yours," and there was a battling, like there was regular battling. I'm like, why can't we just battle? Why can't you just teach people that Pokemon battle? Like he says, like back in my world, Pokemon battles were a fun sport. Like why don't he teach that to the people of this world, and like we can have more Pokemon bat? I thought that would be a cool post game thing, but no, you just worry about getting Arceus.
Yeah. And so I mean, it just got kind of boring by the end. It looks like ass.
The fucking new designs for Dialga and Pokeball are atrocious.
I mean, I liked the design for Typhlosion because that's the starter I chose.
I got Samurai because
and Growlithe, Arcanine. When you got that one, the Hisuian version of Arcanine was pretty dope. But like, there wasn't much else great in that. But the game kind of looked like ass. It's just that like, Ideally, when Nintendo releases a nicer console, these games will look a little bit better.
So the game ran at like dynamic 1080p, so some which would look like 1080p, which I think are the indoor sections. And then the other time would be, I think, 900p at the lowest, which is the standard for Nintendo Switch games most of the time. But it has no anti-aliasing, so everything looks jagged, which is a visual mess, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And like, I don't mind the frame rate being like 30 and lower, because it is an open world game, so I don't expect much in that field. But when I'm 3 feet away from the Pokemon running like it's on Ocarina of Time frame rate, that just turns me off.
Yeah, I mean, the new Pokemon game doesn't look good either, so I would say Legends Arceus out of the two looks better, but it doesn't look great. But it definitely gets me interested for the next Legends game, whatever that is. Doesn't matter to me. But
hey, Game Freak, I know you're not watching this, but like, Unova Legends, please. Like, we all know Unova's the best region. Like, it's literally the best region.
Yeah, so I will. We shall
see.
We shall see.
I will say though, I will say those purifying the Pokemon, that was pretty fun. Not gonna lie. Because another thing I didn't like about catching Pokemon is like there's not much to them. You got the ones that just stand there. You got the ones that just run away, and you got the ones that are aggravated. But like were they totem? No, that's I forgot what they're called. It's like Guardian? No, that's not what it is. Like the major Pokemon that are in each wild area, they have like different patterns to their attacks, and like you have to like think and dodge them while trying to purify. It's just so fun and challenging at the same. That's honestly what I want from Pokemon nowadays. I want a challenge like Unova gave me.
Yeah, I mean Pokemon's pretty easy.
Like,
even Unova was pretty simple.
I mean Unova, it gave like. Yeah, it's still a Pokemon game, but like Lenora can kick your ass. An early gym leader can kick your ass back then. Now, if you lose up, it didn't count. Ooh woo.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's fucking aggravating at this point.
Yeah, like I said, not great, not great.
Yeah, like I said, I think I'm growing out of Pokemon because like I said, I picked up Legends Arceus like 8 months later. I barely touched the DLC for Sword and Shield. My brother gave me his copy of Brilliant Diamond, and I played that. It was not good, honestly.
I mean, I liked the remake of Brilliant Diamond, but I mean,
I liked it for it being a Gen 4 remake, but they could have done so much. Like,
Sword and Shield is, in my opinion, up there with Sun and Moon is like two of the worst.
I thought Sun and Moon was great.
I think it sucks. I think it literally looks like the worst game, and it plays like the worst. It's just bad.
I don't know if I'm gonna pick up Scarlet and Violet.
I almost picked it up yesterday, but luckily
I watched my brother. I watched my brother play Violet version, and oh god, it looks so bad. It looks really bad.
I mean, I think I'm expecting Protector to show up at some point, but if he doesn't, we could. So
here, let me remind him real quick.
Yeah, that way we could save. What is it? Frontiers for
Frontiers, Origin. I know you played Origins, but I don't know if you played Origins.
No, I played it for like 2 minutes and then returned it. Yeah, requested a refund as soon as
I know you don't like 2D Sonic, and you're a big fan of the adventure games.
I mean, it didn't look good. I heard there was a bunch of controversy with it that I could not care less about. Or
I'm pretty sure Protector would talk about.
I could care less about, I think is how I'm supposed to say it.
The only games I know Protector played were Origins, Frontiers, and the Klonoa remakes.
We both played Cult of the Lamb, I'm pretty sure.
I have not played Cult of the Lamb. I have it on my wish list, but that $20, just looks too much.
I mean, it's well worth the $20. It's like a 15-hour game for $20. It's
I did vote for it for indie game at the Game Awards.
Roguelite, half roguelite, half farming sim.
I do like.
It's a cult, and you're essentially like your goal is to revive the devil. Essentially,
I do like Viva Pinata, and I'm a Hades stan through and through.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
So maybe it's up my alley, but
yeah, it's really really fun. The music, I mean, I would say like in a year where a re-release of Persona 5 didn't come out, it's easily the best soundtrack, like hands down. Doesn't even come close. I mean, I haven't played Xenoblade 3, so that would be the only thing that would rival it. But Cult of the Lamb. Unreal soundtrack. Unreal soundtrack.
I watched some of your streams and it looks fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, my streams were kind of ass because like they were bugging out on my computer because I was streaming it on Twitch and I was streaming it on Discord to the person I was.
Oh yeah, your friend. With. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, with my buddy. So.
Your. I was gonna say cow pal. My brain is stupid. But no, Cult of the Lamb. It looks fun. I like the art style. It looks really pretty.
Yeah.
You make the devil look, you make the devil look so good looking. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's just it's a beautiful game. Surprised the hell out of me. Did not expect to like it, but loved it. Finished it in a weekend because I could not put my. I'm just like I could just do one more run, or I could do one more day, so I could do one more of this, and just couldn't put the controller down. Unbelievable game.
That was me with Xenoblade 3. Not gonna lie.
I mean, hey, you brought it up.
Yeah,
I haven't played it. I know Protector hasn't played it.
I could bring up my favorite game of all time.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well.
I mean, I constantly joke in the Jump server that Xenoblade is the best gaming trilogy ever made.
That's what you say.
I mean, it is, though. Okay, so Xenoblade 3 was a game I was hyped for the most when that Nintendo Direct came out. Because in 2020, so my history with Xenoblade was that I picked up the 3DS version when it came out with a new 3DS. I sucked ass at it, but I loved it. I didn't finish it though, but I loved it. Then in 2017, I picked up Xenoblade. I borrowed my brother's copy of Xenoblade 2. Didn't finish it, but loved it. Then in 2020, I picked up the Definitive Edition and 2. Played them both. I fell in love with them. Then 3 comes out. I cried 5 times in this game. That's how much I loved it. So, I love Xenoblade 3 because it has my favorite cast of characters. Like, I know Zapdog posts Uni art in the content sharing, but like, Uni, low-key, best character of all Xenoblade. But, no, I love every character. There's not a... My problem with 1 and 2 is that there was like that one weak character in the game. Like, I don't know how much of Xenoblade 1 or 2 you played, but, Fiora was a weak character to me, and Tora was weak.
These people are all foreign to me. I've only played like maybe like 10 hours of Xenoblade 1, and
the European actors are foreign to you.
Yeah, they were so long ago now. That was back in like September that I don't really remember it so much. So like when I play it, I'm probably gonna restart just to like get it fresh, and like probably the next time I pick up Xenoblade 1, I'm gonna like. That's like when I actually like dedicate the.
If you do a stream on it, I can join you on it. I mean, I love.
I'd rather go in blind, figure it out, see what works,
true.
find the optimal strats, because that's kind of like what I do. So, the game's just the one thing I'll say about Xenoblade 1 that, like, why I just don't like why I'm so hesitant to go back to it is just the combat. Like early game combat is like.
Oh yeah,
it takes like 5 minutes.
That's just problem. That's just the problem with RPGs. They're not like customizable. Like
I don't know, man. Persona 5 Royal. Maybe it's because I've metagamed the shit out of that, and I just know what to do. But I went through I'm about to start the third palace. I haven't died once. Dude, the first palace, my first infiltration, I didn't even take a single hit. Even on like the super hard boss fights, and that's like the first area of the game. So it's like, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just that like, usually the tools are there for you to do it. It's just they don't give you enough tools, and like. Not a detriment to the whole game.
I guess. I don't know. The thing with Xenoblade 1 is that the more you level up and progress through the game, the more arts you get, which is basically like your main form of combat. And you get more arts the more you level up and progress through the game. In fact, some arts are tied to story progression, not gonna lie, and it's not that bad. But the more arts you get in Xenoblade 1, it's like, oh, you can't fit every art on this table, so you have to pick, like, oh, do I want this art or this art? Like, it's what I like about Xenoblade. That's why I like Xenoblade 1's combat, because, like, you get to do whatever the fuck you want with the combat in that game. And it's the same thing with Xenoblade 2, because in Xenoblade 2, there's the blade system, where you can have 3 blades, and they each have, like, different elements, different weapons, different arts. Like, it's customizable as well. But in Xenoblade 3... it does the Final Fantasy V thing. There's a class system. I don't know if you played Final Fantasy V.
No. So
in Xenoblade 3, you run into these characters for like some of them are trying to story progression, some of them are side quests. But needless to say, once you beat that side quest, you unlock their class, which is like a different weapon and different arts as well. It's like the blade system, but and it's also like the Xenoblade 1 system because the more you level up, the more arts you unlock.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But it's really fun because you have to think about, oh, I only have like 3 attack. Oh, protector's here.
Hey, finally showed up.
You didn't miss much. We didn't talk about Origins, Frontiers, or Klonoa for you.
Hey, missed what?
You missed Last of Us, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Persona 5 Royal on PC, Cult of the Lambs, and we're talking about Xenoblade 3 at the moment.
Hey, guess I came in at the right time to get myself prepared.
Yep.
Yeah, give you a couple of minutes. Yeah, give you a couple of minutes to get in the thick of it.
Oh, I want to talk a lot about Xenoblade 3. I fucking love this game.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. I want to see. Here's the thing, right? When I looked at Xenoblade, because I didn't even know what Xenoblade was. I didn't know who Shulk was. Xenoblade 2 came out around the time the Switch came out. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Rex's character design is garbage. I think he looks like a dingus, big boy dingus. But Xenoblade 3 came out, and I was just like, holy shit, Noah kind of looks like...
A character?
I forget his name, but Finn from Shin Megami Tensei 4. That's easy bonus points. And then I was listening to the music. There's a shot in the trailer where Noah's running across, and the Titan or whatever is in the background, and it looks ripped straight out of Final Fantasy 15. And I really like that game.
I agree with you. Final Fantasy 15's great.
Yeah, and so that's when I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna get all the games and then just binge them to get to Xenoblade 3 because this game looks dope as hell.
Oh, it is fucking dope as hell.
Yeah, so that's why I'm interested to hear more about it. I mean, obviously, don't spoil the entire game.
I'm not gonna spoil the entire game. I'm just telling you, like
yeah, so just
I'm telling you what they showed in the trailers, basically.
Yeah, and give me the pitch, man. Give me the pitch.
Mm-hmm. So the class system, it's really interesting because because it's not like every class is necessary. Like you want to at least like 2 of each, not class, but like type of class. You want at least 2 attackers, 2 defenders, and 2 supporters. Basically, that's the gist. And some classes are better than others, but that's not a big. I mean, you already get like the most OP like attacker when you start the game. But it's fun because in the combat you could switch between the characters. Because in Xenoblade 1 and 2, you didn't have to... In Xenoblade 1, you couldn't switch to anything. In Xenoblade 2, you could only switch your blades. But in Xenoblade 3, you could switch whatever character you want to play, even during the combat. So it's fun, because like, because you have a strategy, like, I have to break this enemy, then I could just switch to a character who has a topple and like, etc., etc. And it's just really fun to do it, because because you're only stuck with these 6 party members, and maybe a 7th one because of the hero system, but it's just fun to do, and at least to some base AF moments, not gonna lie. I don't want to spoil the whole, because like in the trailers they showed the giant people. I don't want to spoil who they are, but they're fun as well. They're basically unlocked from the beginning. The music fucking slaps.
Yeah.
Because, like, Xenoblade music's constantly top tier, but Xenoblade 3, oh my god, the battle themes in Xenoblade 3 make my adrenaline go through the roof. I'm still fucking upset that Ragnarok beat Xenoblade 3 for soundtrack. We got generic film score against the person who composed Chrono Trigger. Let that sit in.
The Game Awards don't mean shit, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Also, Xenoblade 3 looks pretty good. Like, it's 720p, 30 FPS, but I'd rather have...
It looks beautiful, though. The art's, like, for me, like, frame rate's going to be the most important thing 10 out of 10 times. It's just, like, the game needs to run well. But if it's going to be on the Switch, I don't really mind the resolution, because the Switch's resolution is piss poor anyways. It's just about the art design, the art style. Xenoblade 3 nailed it. Xenoblade 3 is the prettiest looking Xenoblade game out of the 4. I feel I guess.
I feel like it works well.
X, it's the prettiest looking one in the entire franchise.
I feel like it works well because I should have said this like in the 2017 podcast, but my problem is with Xenoblade 2, the anime art style was a little too much to make it look too anime, whereas Xenoblade 3 does like a good clash of anime and realism, which is what I enjoy. Plus, I think it will age well more than like other games on the Switch because of that art style. Aside from like Witcher 3, which will probably age more and more of time.
Well, The Witcher 3 just also got an update that
it got that remaster recently. I'm like,
and
why?
it was like 50 gigs big, and the game looks incredible.
I mean, realistic games are to the point where like they might not age well with the hardware we have at the moment. They might they'll age better. That's what I meant to say. Unlike the 7th generation, where like Halo 3 and Uncharted look fucking ugly to this day.
Well, I mean, Halo 3 is the greatest FPS of all time.
I mean, I agree with you.
That's neither here nor there.
But the models and textures are blurry and jaggy. That's the problem with older hardware. They just don't look good to this day, except for 2D games. But yeah, Xenoblade 3, favorite game of all time. Fucking love it to death.
And now that Protector's here, we can do Frontiers, or...
Actually, how about we just jump into the Klonoa remakes first?
There we go. That's what I was going to... It was either that, Sonic Origins, or the Klonoa remakes. It was one of those three.
Actually, speaking of Klonoa, how do the games look with the Bloom? Because I know you played it with the Bloom.
Honestly, the remakes look pretty solid even with the Bloom. And I'll say they've managed to capture the spirit of Klonoa pretty well. It also helps that they're rather faithful remakes instead of, taking any sort of liberties here and there, like with Klonoa 1 and its, different design for Klonoa and full-on English dub, among other things. Very strange. But, what you're getting in the Klonoa Phantasy Reverie series collection is basically just, what if Klonoa 1, Door to Phantom Isle, was as in full 3D instead of, being, 2D sprites and 3D areas. As, I'll picked it up like a month after launch just because as a friend of mine really loves Klonoa and would love to see this series be more successful, and after having gone through both of these games, I will say, Namco needs to make more of these sequels, because Klonoa's got a lot going for it. And a visually appealing art style, and character designs, first off, of some pretty neat stories with their own lore to go with them, and that only gets expanded upon in other titles, and playing characters that might tug at your heartstrings every now and then, because do not let the cutesy look fool you. So Klonoa, both of games featuring the collection, and are more than willing to change the mood to something a bit more somber or intense at any given moment. And, for example, the first game starts off as a happy-go-lucky adventure, and then at some point around the middle, your grandfather gets murdered.
This sounds like, what was I thinking?
Kirby?
Kind of like Kirby, yeah, but more fucking traumatic.
Kirby's darkest stuff was just tied to lore and stuff. Klonoa was a bit more upfront about it.
Kirby, I heard the story's pretty nuts.
It's very weird. I played Klonoa 1. It's very, very weird.
I heard for a game that looks like Kirby and the Crystal Shards, not like for like, but gameplay style wise, and kind of gives off that kiddish vibe. It's kind of like a serious story and a serious plot. Especially the second game I heard is pretty dark.
Yeah, the second game tends to get quite a bit intense in the tone, especially around the near end of the game. I mean, hell, I remember one of the characters outright saying, "Damn it," after a boss fight, so,
This ain't your kiddie's platformer.
I know. But, don't let the rather lackluster descriptions I'm giving fool you, both games included are excellent, and this collection is absolutely worth buying no matter the system. Although, if you're gonna get it on PC, it should be noted that that version allows you to turn off the bloom on having various other settings, so that's the most ideal way to go. And for some, they'll probably want to stick to the original version of Door to Phantomile because of its more unique visuals compared to the remake.
I looked at the
second remake.
I looked at the remake of the first game, and I look at the original on the PS1. I'm like, I kind of prefer the pixelated look of the PS1 version more. Probably because the bloom looks so bad to me.
Consider.
I don't know. Bloom is that one thing like that annoys me in games. Whenever I'm on PC and Bloom's on, I just turn it off instantly. It's just distracting to me. Maybe I'll pick up the PC version.
Yeah. Bottom line, I would love to see Klonoa get a bit more love from Namco, and I sincerely hope that this collection has been doing numbers, despite the fact that the physical release in the US is completely non-existent. You have to import it from either Europe or Japan, but luckily, I do live in Europe, so it's basically a non-issue. But at this point, I don't know whether or not they're gonna do a Klonoa free or port the other games. The WonderSwan title, I think the WonderSwan got one anyways. The GBA games, maybe even the Wii's Klonoa 1 remake. They could make a comeback.
I think I have that game
anything's
somewhere.
possible.
I think I have the Klonoa 1 remake somewhere. The Wii version, not the.
Wow, you're one of the lucky 4,000 people that has it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that game literally sold 8,000 copies.
I think it sold less than 100.
It was definitely less than 100. That's a fact.
I know it's less than 100. Hold on, let me look this up real quick.
But yeah, I'd talk about Pac-Man World Repack if we're on the note of Namco remakes, but sadly I have yet to play it, despite Pac-Man World being a title I grew up with as a kid. Maybe that'll change this Christmas. Who knows?
What platform did you play Klonoa on?
He played it on PS4, I think.
Yeah, if I'm going third party, it's always going to be on PS4.
One of these days, it's going to be a PS5. And it's going to be
One of these days, it's going to be an Xbox Series X or a proper gaming PC.
Yeah, I think you should go the PC route. One of these days, I'm going to tell you what. This is what I'm going to do. Amazon always has deals in the US. You're just going to import it from the US. And it's going to be super cheap. I'm going to send you the good deals.
So the Wii sales are less than 1,000 in North America.
Yeah, so you're one of the 999 people that owns Klonoa on the Wii. Good for you.
I own them. I could sell it for $100. That's enough for a new game today.
No, you can sell it for 1,000.
And I can get a bunch of new games. I need to listen to you.
So what do you guys want to go on to next?
Well,
we could Origins, Frontiers. Me and you, Snackugo, could talk about Elden Ring. I could talk about What Lies in the Multiverse.
Actually, yeah, let's get Sonic Origins out of the way. Hey, first, so...
I have experience with this game, because if you saw my recent side video, I used it to record my classic Sonic games. Because the iPhone ports, they fucked with my controller for some reason. I don't know why. I didn't want to deal with that bullshit. So I thought...
It's also hard to get on a YouTube screen.
That is true. So I just played the Origins collection. It works with any controller, my Xbox One controller, and I have a PS4 controller. I just played it because it was just accessible. So
Origins really should have been in a home run on all things considered. And before anyone says anything, no, this is not me saying it's just as dog shit as Colors Ultimate was at launch, and still is. But for what is supposed to be the official, definitive way to play Sonic 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles, and CD, it leaves quite a bit to be desired. And not even when putting it up against Sonic Free Air, because let's face it, it was never, ever going to beat that. But more so that it can't even beat the 2011 version of CD and the 2013 versions of 1 and 2. Oh, for one thing, a lack of multiple save files in all games not named 3 and K. Hey, Knuckles hasn't been added to CD despite the collection advertising. Hey, the fact you could play as all 3 of those characters as across all the games. And
I don't think Knuckles was.
Tons of UI dissonance in terms of how assets clash. Like, for example, the main menus in Origins, they look pretty nice, but then the character select menus when you boot up one of the games that isn't free in K just basically has it pop on the screen like the Metal Sonic ads in Colors Ultimate. And CD in particular is extremely guilty of this, because you've not only got the Origins character select menu popping up once you try to start a game, but if you try to go into specific options like changing the spin dash or the OST, it goes back to the 2011 versions and menus, which look amazing. Hey, but that's one thing out of many. Hey, then there's the fact that the games themselves just could have had a bit more polish. The drop dash added to all games doesn't even work right in 1 and 2, and maybe CD? People have said that the drop dash actually functions in CD, but at times I'm not really sure what they're on about.
I think the drop dash.
There was an infamous glitch where Tails kept getting stuck on geometry in Sonic 2 and kept jumping until the end of time itself.
I never experienced that glitch. It
tended to have some of the less than stellar. It tended to be less than stellar in terms of polish. I had plenty of moments where certain unscripted moments just didn't work right, either because of the shift to a new engine, or because of how it being rushed, as explicitly stated by headcanon, and not to mention, and for some reason, and the music's more muffled in Free and K compared to the other titles. Also, for some ungodly reason, you can actually skip a major chunk of Free and K if you end up hopping into the special ring at the start of Mushroom Hill, pausing and then hitting restart, and then you've gone from Mushroom Hill to Hidden Palace at the snap of a finger. Which, bit of a massive oversight, to say the absolute least.
I've never experienced these problems when I played them. I don't know if it's a PC thing. If it's... I
mean, the PC version also has to deal with de novo, making the game a lot more hardware intensive than it actually is. And then again, another thing that doesn't help is that they decided to use the Hedgehog engine too for the main menus, despite this being a collection of 2D sprite-based titles that obviously do not run in this engine.
Don't they run on the Retro engine? That's what I'm thinking.
I played Sonic Origins for a whopping 2 minutes, and then I realized I don't really like 2D Sonic. It's kind of boring, in my opinion.
You played it longer than Forces.
I played it longer than Forces, and so I refunded the game instantly. Yeah, I mean, if you watch the Sonic Frontiers video I did, Forces, straight up cannot get past, the first hill of the level. As soon as Sonic starts to descend into the first loop-de-loop, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to play this anymore. So I guess, Green Hill Zone 1-1 is GOAT. It's my favorite 2D Sonic level by a country mile. It just, that's the music, it does everything perfectly, and I think if 2D Sonic kind of just, for me personally, just kind of falls off after that. I have played through all the classics before, so I was just like, oh, this would be a more accessible way for me to play them. Then I just realized I'm probably never going to play these games again, I think Mania is a much better game than any of the classics, so, and I have that.
Yeah, that's fair. After revisiting these games, I'm just like, they're Sonic 1 I have more respect for. 2 in CD, it gets worse the more I think about it or play it. 3 in K is one of the best 2D platformers ever played, but the quality, Mania just, it made me rethink about my love of 2D Sonic, because after playing that game for 5 years now, I'm just like, it still blows my mind that this is still a real thing. Because it's so polished and stuff like that, and it's so colorful, and the new stages are the ones made that are not old returning stages. They're fun as hell.
They're just better. They're just better. Yeah.
But yeah, the only other things I would note about Origins are, the fact that it had a digital deluxe edition and DLC that could have just been put into the main end game, including shit like animations, hands and character models on the islands, and even camera control for them. There was also the animations included, which they were cute and all, but got nothing else to say there. And despite the fact that Origins has a story mode that you could easily make them exclusive to, they'll play pretty much anywhere. When I was on anniversary mode, mirror mode, or even in original mode.
I don't think that's true, because when I played them I boot up Sonic 1 anniversary mode, and I didn't get the opening cutscene of the animation. Or in the CD version of anniversary mode, I didn't get the Amy Rose cutscene.
They play every time from my experience, unless you somehow managed to skip them.
I did not skip them. Yeah. I did not. I just clicked start, new file, click A. I didn't see a single. The only opening animations I saw were 2 and 3. None, not 1 or CD.
Anyways,
for CD, I still got the Toei. For CD, I still got the Toei animation opening, but I didn't get the Origins one.
Well, regardless of the matter, the last thing I would have to note about Origins in terms of what it brings is the new arrangements of the beta tracks to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. They're shit. Like,
I don't agree.
Not going to, sugarcoat it. They are just a bit of a disservice as to the beta compositions that you can listen to as part of Sonic 3 Air's has vast array of options. And the fact that they got Jun Senoue to handle Sega Mega Drive-like music again after most people didn't like what he brought to the table for Sonic 4 is baffling. And speaking of that, the supersonic theme for Sonic 3 and K now sounds like it came straight out of Sonic 4, which, well, that's one way to disincentivize using the form in the first place, so...
Yay.
Yeah.
I don't think the betas sound... I don't think they sound bad. They're not better than the original. Like, yeah, the originals sound better, but I don't think the betas sound all that bad.
But yeah, bottom line, how beta head tracks just sound better with what you can get in free air. And that even lets you switch to the Michael Jackson tracks if need be. But the bottom line with Origins is, while it might be good for the most casual Sonic fans, if you are at all super invested into this series, there's way better options, Like, Sonic CD's original remaster was put on Steam and consoles before it got delisted alongside the PC versions of 1, 2, and 3, and K, because Sega really wanted you to buy Origins instead of those, and on top of that, there's even a decompilation for it alongside the mobile versions of 1 and 2. And hell, if you just want to play Sonic 1, 2, and CD on whatever system you want, and not being too fussy about it, the mobile ports are still available, for free. And if you want to remove ads, that's just like £6 total. And well, as for Free and Knuckles, there's still multiple ways to get Sonic 3 Air up and running, and without the Steam release, though I don't remember which ones hence would count. But the bottom line is, there's better ways to play these games, and given that the collection was once again rushed to the point where headcanon had to point out this in a Twitter thread, I feel like it was a massive indication of Sega once again not really giving a shit about giving us the most quality products, which didn't exactly give me much hope for Frontiers.
I think you forgot to talk about the mission mode in Origins.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
I don't know. The Sonic 2 missions kicked my fucking ass. Because...
to be honest, I only really went for the mission mode because, Platinum Trophy and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. I played them,
but I really never gave it a second thought.
I played them because I wanted to S-rank every Sonic game.
That's on you, buddy.
I know it's on me. At least it's not as bad as Unleashed. Ugh. Not as bad as Unleashed. But
yeah, I mean, I would say that's a perfect segue into Frontiers, but we should probably talk about Elden Ring first, and then just because Frontiers is all three of us. We've all played that game. We all have. Protected, you finished it, right?
I've platinumed the game.
He platinumed the game, so let's get Elden Ring out of the way, and then we'll do Frontiers.
I have nothing to say about Elden Ring other than the fact that the voice actress of Nia from Xenoblade 2 apparently got to be in it.
Oh yeah, I think she was that person who sits with you at the campfire. I think that's who she was, or the Grace. I think that was her. Well, there's also another game I want to talk about before Frontiers because there's an indie game I played this year that I really enjoyed.
Sure. Elden Ring, won Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Overwhelmingly the best game that came out this year, in my opinion. It's, I think, a top 5 greatest game of all time. I think it completely recontextualizes and makes you think about how you view open worlds, the level of detail in the smallest nooks and crannies of the lands between, I think is what the world is called, is unbelievable. The game looks incredible for a game that like really is like kind of like a piss poor version on PC, max at 60 FPS, but I kind of understand why. Like normally I would never say that, but like for the type of game Elden Ring is, I get it.
Did it have micro stuttering on PC?
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
oh God,
Loki still does, but
how?
I mean, it's just like a massive online game too, so they have to accommodate.
That is true.
So it's really cool. The things they change in the combat and the world exploration are really cool. I haven't finished the game, but yeah, it's just like, it's amazing. I purposely haven't finished the game because me and my roommates finished it like 3 times.
Oh God.
And he was just like, there's a seamless co-op mod coming out on PC where we could just play the game together without the restrictions of FromSoft multiplayer. And we've been playing the game like that, and it's honestly one of the funnest experiences I've ever had in a video game. It's so much fun. Really, really good. There's a specific boss fight I want to highlight that I've tackled. I think her name is Rada, Ronnie's mom. It's like one of the fights that takes you onto like the water, like the dark link fight area, where it's just like black and blue in the background with like a moon, and water is your ground.
I don't think I've gotten that far.
It is, I mean, I don't know what it means for lore, but it looks so cool. It is like the craziest boss fight I think I've ever seen visually.
There's a dragon I fought in one of my recent runs. I've been busy, so I haven't played it that much recently. But I do remember there's this fucking dragon that's annoying as shit with the Scarlet Rot effect, and I hate it.
That's what FromSoft games are. They're made to be annoying.
I know they're made to be hard, but like
no, they're made to be like what you're not like. The dragon being one of the most difficult things, like, usually isn't a case that happens in video games. They might be a big boss, but they're not usually like the final boss.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that it's just a common enemy in the world and it's something that you don't have to do, and it's that difficult, just kind of speaks to like what they want to do. And like, I'm not trying to defend the game. If you got problems with it, you got problems. I'm just saying, I think
problems with it.
I think it is so good. I think it is amazing.
I mean, I'm happy you love Elden Ring. Like, I think Elden Ring is like one of the best. It has problems in my opinion.
Like what?
So I don't think the open world aspect wasn't, how do I put this? It felt like you could just walk on a path and you would just find a boss like in eye's view, in my opinion, from what I've experienced. Because like there's not that many bosses outside of the path that lead you to the next town or anything. Like, the only one I've noticed that is like at Erdtree with the Erdtree avatars, but that's about it. I think half the time I keep on forgetting the jump button is the thing in the Elden Ring. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's just like, yeah, I mean, yeah. Keep going, sorry.
I don't think the game is well tutorialized, in my opinion, because I still don't know what Scarlet Rot is to this day.
Yeah.
Some weapons are better than others, obviously, even though I think there should have been like a perfect balance between most of them.
I don't think you can do
There's
that.
There's like a certain
weapon.
I have a friend I talk to. I've been playing Elden Ring, and I at least do one boss a day, And I have a friend, I'm like, he's like, oh, wait till you get to the post game. There's this katana. I'm like, oh, how bad is this katana? He's like, oh no, it's the most OP thing on the planet. I'm like,
well, that's the thing is that like because there's so many different types of weapons, like there's like 50 different types of longswords, 50 different types of colossal weapons, 50 different types of clubs. Like you can't expect.
Basically, what we're getting at here is that it's going to be tough to make sure they're all equally useful.
Exactly, and like the game is nuanced enough for you to be good with even the bad weapons. Like if you just the game is open enough to the point where you can figure it out. I mean, it's not easy, makes the game harder, but like me and my roommate, we've been playing the game together, and we're playing together. The level scaling is updated in this mod to accommodate for 2 players or up to 4 players, and we're playing on like level 1 gear. And like we're figuring it out, and yeah, sure, it's the 2 of us, but like even still, because like that's the case when you summon someone in for a boss, it's 2 of you. But I don't know.
I don't know. My favorite weapons are still the basic broadswords.
My favorite weapon is the 2 giant chainsaws I got that make me Denji from Chainsaw Man.
Chainsaw Man.
Literally my favorite weapons in the game.
I was like, before this started, I'm like, oh god, what anime is he gonna talk about? And I'm like, oh, it's gonna be My Hero Academia. Nope, it's Chainsaw Man.
It's Chainsaw Man.
I do enjoy most of the bosses I experience. There's like one, like it was at the bottom of the map, like this behind a castle. I don't remember his name, but he was so fucking annoying. And there's this what's her name? She like, hold on, I made a. I need to. Why do I need to check for this shit? But the Royal Revenant was the most annoying boss I've experienced so far. She is so fucking annoying. That was my latest boss. But I do like the story specific bosses. Like they look cool and they have well choreographed attacks in my opinion. Like Godric the Grafted. Oh. Also the picture I have of him goes so fucking hard.
Yeah, I mean Godric's goated. He's goated.
I also like how you have your own steed in this game, because like if there was no steed in this game, I mean
you would. Yeah, it's slow.
Also, I like how you can use it in combat, which is really useful.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, like I said, I forgot the jump button was a thing because almost every FromSoft game doesn't have a jump button.
Yeah, so the fact that this one does, it's like adding, like for me, Elden Ring is what people think Breath of the Wild is. Breath of the Wild is very good at changing what Zelda was, but it is so bland and so bare bones.
Oh my god, thank you.
Right? And so that's why I'm hoping with Tears of the Kingdom, it's just going to be more of that, but just more fleshed out quests, more fleshed out characters and stuff like that. And don't get it twisted, I have no idea what the plot is in Elden Ring. I have no idea who's who. I met Ronnie. She's the person I decided to hook up with. And,
yeah, same.
Right? It's like, I don't know the plot of what's going on, but it's just like when I do something in Elden Ring, it feels like it matters whether it's making me stronger or it changes something that's going to affect the world. I look at Breath of the Wild and none of that happens.
I look at Elden Ring, I'm like, oh, there's a really big, expansive world with like so much lore, and like you get to see all these spirits and stuff on the overworld. And Breath of the Wild, I don't see a single fucking person in the middle of Hyrule Field, and all I see is like 5.
Exactly, and it's like it's the same areas generated again. Sure, but in both cases, like with the Blood Moons in Breath of the Wild, and then just saving in Elden Ring, but the enemies are always varied. They're not going to do the same thing twice, whereas the Bokoblins will always do the same thing. It's
also, like, Elden Ring has voice acting that's not shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a better game overall, and it's like that's when I think about it, that's the best thing I can say about it. It's like people think Breath of the Wild is the greatest game of all time. Clearly, they've never played Elden Ring because Elden Ring is just better Breath of the Wild, and it's like even with Tears of the Kingdom, it's probably going to be better. It's probably still going to be better. It's just such a fleshed out game. Well deserved game of the year.
I don't know about Tears of the Kingdom. I'll probably save this when we talk about games we're excited for next year, but I don't know. I'm not that hyped for Tears of the Kingdom.
What was that indie game you wanted to talk about?
I looked it up again. There's actually 2 indie games, but they shouldn't be that long. The first one was TMNT Shredder's Revenge. I
did not play that.
I don't think anyone here played it except for me. I just grabbed it because it was on sale on Steam. I'm like, I'm a TMNT fan. I enjoyed the 2003 2012 series. I'll pick it up. And it's probably one of the most fun arcade-style games I've ever played. There's not much to say about it because it's a beat 'em up game, and there's not much to a beat 'em up game in my opinion. But I love how the game looks. T. Lopes made the soundtrack, and if T. Lopes touched the soundtrack, it's god tier. I'm just gonna say that. And plus it pays homages to almost every era of TMNT, from the comics to the latest show. And as a TMNT fan, that's pretty good. But that's really all I have to say. I just had a fun time with it. Though I haven't experienced multiplayer yet. I might do that someday. And the other one I wanted to talk about was this game that came out earlier this year called What Lies in the Multiverse. I don't know if y'all got advertising for that on YouTube.
Never heard of it.
Really?
Never heard of it.
It was like advertised. It was like advertised on YouTube and everything. So the premise of What Lies in the Multiverse is that you're a kid and you finally figured out how to break the fucking multiverse. And so basically the leader of the multiverse is like, oh hey, you fucked up how I made the multiverse. Oh well, you're gonna become my servant now. And so you go on this random adventure, and then you learn that your mentor is being tracked by like the multiverse police, basically. And it's a puzzle platformer, and the big you have your puzzle elements, but the main selling point is that you have a button that when you press it, you're in a different universe. Say, like, the second level, you're in a desert, and when you press the button, it's a completely ice cold, like, it's a winter wonderland, basically. And, it leads to stuff like, oh, there's a giant gap, I could just switch to the snow, I could switch to the snow universe, use the ice to grab momentum, then I could switch to the desert universe so I don't get blocked by the ice wall. It's one of the most creative puzzle platformers I've ever played. I haven't finished it yet. I'm like halfway through, I think. But also love the character. It's a very funny game. Like your mentor, he's carrying a dead person's body, and then then one thing it's like, hey, why don't you cross this gap? Then the next day you just see him over there. It's like, oh god, this is the most tiny thing I've ever done. It's like it's the character's like, what the fuck are you doing? I recommend you play it. If you like puzzle platformers, I just recommend you play What Lies in the Multiverse. It's both funny and like it really teases your fucking brain. I'm not gonna lie. But that's all the indie games I played this year.
Sonic Frontiers.
Frontiers.
This is a game. Protector's been on the bench for a while. He's gonna go first. I got dibs on going last. So Protector, kick us off.
Thoughts on the pre-release?
Sonic Frontiers' pre-release. It was a thing.
It's
and
a thing.
By that I mean it was an absolute shit show. Put it this way, like the Sonic Central we got last year, all we saw of it was Sonic running through a forest, then a strange symbol showed up, and that was that. The Game Awards of 2021, where we also got the first trailer for the second Sonic movie, all we get is,
bunch of pretty vignettes,
shots of Kronos Island, and then a hint that Sonic's going to be taking on something much bigger. And then when we got the first gameplay showcase in June earlier this year, I was floored at how terrible they made it look. And for the record, it was Sega that provided this footage to IGN, so IGN ain't taking the heat for this one. I can say this right now. But what we saw early on just didn't give me much hope. I was hoping that the combat trailer would at least get me excited for what we could see there, but it ended up not looking all that appealing, and suffice to say, hopes for Frontiers were not exactly high, and it didn't help that this is after a string of Sonic games that haven't exactly shown that Sega has learned their lessons. Forces, TSR, Cola's Ultimate especially, and then when Origins proved to be a disappointment, suffice to say, expectations were not exactly the highest. Even when we started seeing more and more of the game, we barely had an idea of how the story was going to go down, what to really expect from the whole thing, other than Sonic's going to get serious again. It's going to be in an open zone instead of an open world. That was basically the general gist of it. While it was definitely well received in previews, I was surprised to say I was still not convinced, and ultimately decided that this was a game that I kind of had to play for myself to see if it was going to be good, because, you know, that seemed to be the general consensus is at the time. People who had been very skeptical of Frontiers that actually got to play it at certain events did walk away feeling rather satisfied. You know, like at, you know, the Tokyo game show or some other thing this summer, or, you know, when Some Call Me Johnny went to Hawaii.
Same with AvatarAidan.
As you do. But yeah, the pre-release of Frontiers, quite frankly, was absolute shit. Like, more so than Forces, partially because what they did show us was not exactly all that, you know, invigorating, and you know, besides that, they just weren't showing much to begin with. So 8th or 9th of November, can't remember the exact release date.
I think it was the 8th.
We finally get Frontiers, and to everyone's shock and surprise, that's actually well received. What the shit? We haven't seen a 3D Sonic game be well received since Generations, and one of fun. And you know, the last time a Sonic game with any sort of darker tone was well received was, oh god, Sonic Adventure 2.
A good Sonic game recently? What the fuck?
But yeah, bottom line. But you know, moving on, I'm gonna say this right now. I like Sonic Frontiers. I was actually pleasantly surprised I walked away from it thinking it was a pretty solid game. I'm not gonna say that, you know, it's better than Lost World, Rise of Lyric, and Forces, because that's kind of, from where I'm saying, that's kind of bottom of the barrel and a bit of a backhanded compliment to the game. But I will say that, you know, I would say that at the very absolute least, it's a solid B tier title. Oh, there's a lot of good shit here, and I do think that it does provide a solid blueprint for the future. But at the same time, there is a lot of stuff that definitely needs either fine-tuning or, you know, being thrown away in the trash if future Sonic games like this are going to get better. Like, you know, first off, the story. So,
okay, before we talk about the story, what are y'all's thoughts on Ian Flynn's writing style?
I think he's got a solid understanding of a lot of the characters most days, you know? Oh, and if you look at a lot of his work in Archie especially, he certainly knew how to write Shadow before something happened that required IDW Shadow to be an absolute shithead. And, you know, he knows what Knuckles is all about. He can write Tails. Those just fine. Sonic, like most days, seems to be good. But, you know, character writing is often Ian Flynn's strong suit, and time again in Archie and IDW, despite the faults of both, he has proven this. Though, as of recently, he has become a bit more infamous for being a little too willing to sprinkle in very blatant references to past games. Things that sometimes don't even feel all that natural. Look at Sonic and Eggman reciting Open Your Heart lyrics during the Zombot arc, for example.
Me and a friend of mine, Juice Polydot, if you don't know him, we were talking about this recently because he's about to play Frontiers, but he knows of the cutscenes. And he feels like the callbacks in this game are made to, like, I don't know, trying to keep up with the lore of Sonic, if that makes sense.
And
it does feel like at times the callbacks feel like more of a there, the continuity matters again, and we're not going to do what the meta era did. And you know, I get the sentiment. I really do, but I do think that they could have dialed it back in some areas, like
the one on Chaos Island.
Forced. Yeah, it feels a little forced at times when certain random elements like a waterfall remind Sonic of the Mystic Ruins specifically, because he's obviously never been to other places with waterfalls, or, you know, Ares Island, making him think of Shamar first and foremost.
I feel like they really like their Unleashed callbacks. That's what I got from this game.
But yeah, you know, those probably aren't the best examples, but the thing is, it does get a little oh,
I feel like some of the
overbearing, I guess.
yeah,
As
I could
it
see
reaches
that.
its peak when and the game decides to utilize flashbacks. And it's literally just screenshots of the events in their original games with a weird, kind of old
Canvas
storybook
style
filter
thing.
over it, and
It's not.
suffice to say, it feels a little rushed. This part was probably out of Ian Flynn's control, but it is kind of distracting when Knuckles is reminiscing about ruins that remind him of Angel Island, and then we cut to a screenshot of when Sonic and Knuckles first met in Sonic 3, complete with, just the same sprite work we saw because it was just a screenshot taken from that game, and not actual ruins on Angel Island, or recreating this stuff in engine like what Sonic Adventure did for its flashbacks
I
and
feel
Tales and Amy
like
stories.
I feel like when reminiscing on Asia Island, they should have used the prologue animation for Frontiers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, let's get that out of the way. The prologue animation for Frontiers was fucking excellent. Like, no complaints there. Yeah, it was a genuinely good promotional bit of animation. I wouldn't mind going back to. It was absolutely beautiful and a nice way of seeing Knuckles' life on Angel Island when, the Master Emerald isn't getting stolen, or, the Earth isn't being invaded, or something like that.
I would say on Ian Flynn's writing, I haven't read the comics, not familiar with any of his work prior to Frontiers. And so with that, when I give my thoughts on Frontiers when we get there, keep that in mind.
I've read the Archie comics. I've been reading the IDW comics since 2020, and I just got into the Archie comics, so I am familiar with Ian Flynn's writing. I think when he I've
dabbled a bit in comics here and there, and I did catch IDW primarily throughout the Zombot arc. And, I do think Ian Flynn is a good writer, but, no one's perfect, and he's certainly got some things to iron out for future games and comics,
I quite enjoy his writing style, and since there's not that many characters in Frontiers, I feel like his work on the character interactions are pretty good, actually, not gonna lie.
Yeah, the character interactions are honestly the best part about the story and writing of Sonic Frontiers, especially when Knuckles is the focus.
Bro,
I think Ian Flynn's playing favorites here.
Bro, when Sonic and Knuckles talk, it's just guys being bros, and you just love it. Especially that scene when Knuckles says when he was during the event, he realizes he's the last echidna. And then Sonic's like, hey, why don't you go out there, do your own thing. He's like, maybe I'll do that, but first you gotta save me. Then they just I just love it so much. It literally... I haven't seen something like this since...
I do think that where Knuckles is concerned, he's pretty much written and damn him well in this. Certainly a massive step up from what he did end up devolving into over the years. Honestly, this is the best Knuckles we've gotten in a game since Sonic Adventure 2.
We haven't seen Sonic and Knuckles interact like this since Sonic Heroes, and it's like, damn, that was nearly... Oh god, that was 18 years ago.
Oh yeah, it was a while ago.
I also like the Amy and Tails cutscenes. I thought they were pretty good, actually.
So are we just going ahead and just giving our thoughts on Frontiers as a whole? I think we're just in the thick of it. We're
just in the thick of it.
But yeah, we praised the character interactions. I will say, I do think that Amy and Tails are pretty solid in many areas, but I do have some issues with them, namely Amy. I've made a point in the past, maybe I know a lot of people who watch these podcasts listen rather, and know about this, but Amy being hyper obsessed with Sonic was always something I felt detracted from her character, and when she became more of a yandere, once Sonic X became a thing, it just made her a very annoying character that well, let's just say there's no surprise as to why people would gravitate towards Rouge and Blaze.
I mean, Blaze
much faster.
I mean, Blaze is best girl in
you
the
know,
series.
Oh, there is a way to balance this, and I would say that, you know, the adventure games plus Heroes, those did know how to handle Amy just fine. And I would say that IDW even has a good idea as to how to handle Amy, because, you know, her crush on Sonic is still there, and it is brought up from time to time, just, you know, not her trying to, you know, get Sonic to take her on a date or anything. But for some strange reason in Frontiers, her affections for Sonic basically end up being non-existent, as it's more about, you know, the Cocos and finding their lost loves, and I understand and why she'd be concerned about them. Empathy was one of her greater strengths. Part of the reason why Shadow ended up remembering Maria's true wish was because of Amy, but I do feel like this focuses a bit too much on that side of her, and I do miss any sort of, you know, potential, you know, flirting between her and Sonic if they're a bit more comfortable around each other. I mean, you know, IDW's has got these moments, hence why not sprinkle at least one in there? Just a good measure. But where I feel, you know, the character writing does begin and to drop a little in the interactions is Tails, and it's purely because of the fact that they are trying to address the fact that the kid's been dead rate for all intents and purposes in the past games, and now he's kind of, you know, making a big deal about it. And I do appreciate how Sonic reassures him and that Tails is a very accomplished hero in his own right. Like, that right there was a pretty good moment, and shows that Sonic is very much a cool older brother to Tails. But I do feel like this desire to be better falls flat when all of Sonic's friends, Big included, are stuck in cyberspace and can't really do anything other than maybe assist the Cocos who have ties to cyberspace, so they kind of don't really count all too much. It's Sonic doing the heavy lifting for the majority of the adventure. And that's where I do feel like things just... Where am I going with this?
Well, I was gonna say,
I wish the characters got more of a chance to shine. And granted, there is DLC coming next year that could show us just that, because as is all that Sonic's friends really do in this game is just provide character interactions, most of which are pretty good, and then, you know, I mean, we're already talking about the story, you know, spoilers, but they end up just forming a friendship triangle around Sonic at the end of the 4th island to free him from his cyber corruption, and, you know, that part of the plot is quickly resolved, and then they just fuck off until the credits. I just didn't like that moment. I felt that they really should have been a bit more useful, despite the fact that they were trapped in cyberspace. The game also seems to make a big deal of them going on their own paths, you know, to, you know, try and become more of their own people instead of being attached to Sonic all the time. And I appreciate that, but, you know.
So
yeah.
I think Amy not being boy crazy over Sonic is honestly what I prefer.
I mean, that's what I prefer too, but I also feel like her not even mentioning or hinting at her affections for Sonic even once and feels a little out of, like, you know, remember, there is a thing called balance, you know, the thing that Thanos obsessed over.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
As all things should be.
And so yeah, just moving from that, what do you guys think of the gameplay? I mean,
I was going to talk about the soundtrack.
I mean, you can mention that as part of the gameplay. I guess that counts.
Yeah, that is. So,
yeah,
we can all agree, cyberface was the worst part.
Garbage.
Without a doubt.
Like, I mean, if Coco were here, he'd probably shove it in her ass. He's a speedrunner of that shit.
Yeah, but he ain't here.
Yeah, but
he ain't here. But no.
Okay, you know, since Snackugo hasn't really had much experience with the boost those titles, and because I desperately need to flex my Sonic knowledge and experience, I'm gonna go over why cyberspace has absolutely blows in terms of gameplay.
Well, first of all, you're taking level
Namely
designs.
the fact that it's way too damn slow. Sonic feels a bit too stiff to control. The drop dash is useless, and the boost barely feels like it's making you go faster. And on top of that, for some reason, the homing attack forces a rebound off of enemies, which, if you're going for S rank times is often a detriment, and to the point where you are better off just, trying to work around them. This is in large contrast to, say, Unleashed in Generations, where the boost sent you friggin' and flying. The homing attack's rebound was not something you were forced to look at. You could just, continue a homing attack chain and lickety-split. And while Sonic could be a little loose, he still felt fun to control. And the whole appeal of blitzing through levels at Sonic speed and while dodging obstacles at the last possible second was often the highlight of the boost gameplay, and part of the reason and why I think Unleashed in Generations absolutely excel in this department. Also helping that they had excellent level design to go with it, which, fun fact, Cyberspace decides to rip level design straight from past games. Not just Unleashed in Generations, but Sonic Adventure 2 as well. And I think Shadow the Hedgehog's Lethal Highway got in there at some point.
I don't think Lethal Highway. I think they just pulled from what are considered the most popular Sonic games, which are SA2, Unleashed, and Generations. That's what I think, though I might be wrong.
A friend of ours also mentioned that they thought they saw 06's Tropical Jungle along the level design reused, but didn't see it myself, so we'll have
but you didn't do all the cyberspace levels, did you?
I did go and do all of them after I had finished the game, because the Platinum Trophy only requires that you fully complete one cyberspace level to get the corresponding achievements, and you're only forced to play 2 cyberspace levels in the game, 1-1 and 1-2, but went for all of them, and my opinion on them didn't exactly improve. In fact, all it really solidified is that I'm not really a fan of how Sonic controls in these to begin with. The new levels have solid design, I guess, but,
It's just that he's so
again,
slow in cyberspace.
Sonic plays like ass, and when you get to the levels that have level design ripped straight from past games, the one thing that was always going through my mind was, man, I want to go back to Sonic Adventure 2, Unleashed, and Generations. And speaking of SI2, got all A ranks in it not too long ago, and now I have to commit to the grind of the Chow Garden for all 108 emblems. But back to Frontiers, cyberspace is absolutely the worst part of the game, and while everything beyond 1-2 is optional, that does not excuse the fact that they're not all that fun to begin with. And before anyone brings it up, the Magnet Dash speedrunning trick does not make them better, because it's an unintended trick, an exploit in the system that speedrunners are now using to try and finish the stages in record time, especially 1-2, since that had one of the most brutal S ranks, while most of the other cyberspace stages were fairly cozy in terms of just getting the S rank. Few
I don't know.
Some of the challenge in that regard.
I don't know. Some of the later stages, you had to take advantage of shortcuts to get the S rank, which I quite liked.
Like I said, few cyberspace levels actually make you work for the S rank. It's even possible in most of them to get all the red rings and fill the ring requirement and get the S rank time all in one run, essentially making it so that you're just finished with that and immediately. And while I guess it's convenient for saving on time and getting a lot of vault keys quickly, the bottom line is cyberspace just doesn't really work all that much, and it's somehow a bit of a downgrade from friggin' Forces in terms of control. Also doesn't help that the one cyberspace level that has a drift makes it something context sensitive, and it controls even shittier than it did in Colors.
I think it controls shittier than Unleashed.
I mean, to be honest, I guess I'm with you there, though I'm of the mindset that Unleashed drift just need to be able to take sharper turns, and then it'll control just fine, because my biggest issue with the one in Colors is not only is it restricted to certain sections, and context sensitive, all that, but it was also hella slow, which was only useful for gaining an ass load of points.
That is
But
true.
yeah, although I guess on the subject of control, to talk about how Sonic plays in the open zones, I'm gonna say this right now: set everything to max in the control sliders, besides the camera control, and Sonic controls like a dream. In fact, I would say this is the best he's controlled since Sonic Adventure 1 with this in mind.
I probably wouldn't.
Really fun to play as by just running around the islands, and I was very surprised that this has ended up being the case.
I wouldn't go as far as Adventure 1. I've been learning.
I said since Adventure 1, not necessarily outright on the same level.
I would say he's in open zone. He's probably the best controlling Boost Sonic, though Generations is probably up there. Generations is up there as well. But I don't know. It's just saying since Adventure 1's kind of a stretch, because Adventure 1 just nailed Sonic in a 3D plane, and with it transitioning from 2D. But no, I would agree with you. He although I wouldn't say you need to put everything at max, because I didn't do that when I played the game, and I thought he controlled pretty damn good.
I mean, to be honest, I was not settling for anything less than max on various settings. I wanted the tightest control. I wanted the highest speed. Because this is supposed to be a fast character in a large open environment, and I would consider the max settings outright ideal. But of course, as we've mentioned, the game does allow you to customize your controls, and to be honest, that is nice.
I thought the standard controls were perfectly fine. Like, they work.
One of my greatest concerns when this was revealed was that what if the game doesn't seem to be able to accommodate for all the various control setups? And I ended up getting my answer through one of two things. One, when in 3D, for the most part, it does actually function and pretty damn well no matter what the sliders are, but I will say this right now, the control sliders don't mean a damn thing for cyberspace, or when, for whatever reason, you get into a 2D section in the islands, and those play like Ass and Chaos Island, the third one, is littered with them. Part of the challenge for me when going through Chaos Island on my own playthrough was trying to dodge all the forced 2D sections so that I could continue speeding around in 3D, and that was fun in its own right, but I do feel like that was not the best kind of level design, if you get what I mean.
I think rail jumping in this game is so fucking fun.
I've seen a lot of people do some crazy shit with it, but I've also seen that for some reason, there's occasions where when Sonic's switching to a rail, almost at the near end, he can sometimes go flying backwards, and I was like, what?
It's fun.
What is this? I mean, it's less fun when it's over a bottomless pit and you end up diving headfirst into the water on Ares Island, but, I can see that, the crazy shit that people could do with it, and to be honest, seeing Sonic go flying in 3D, whether it's, through rail jumping or by hitting an incline, weirdly enough, to send Sonic Launch into the air to be able to do tricks, it's pretty fun in its own right. And a large factor as to why I do largely enjoy my time spent in Frontiers.
I think we should give Snackugo the floor.
Oh no, I'm purposely holding off because I'm gonna monologue about everything that you guys are talking about. I purposely didn't.
Okay.
So the last thing I guess is the combat. I think that's the last big thing.
Okay, so
I want to get your thoughts, and then I'm just gonna dump everything on you guys.
Okay, so the combat is okay, so I was hesitant about the combat because they said that I don't know if they said it before this, but like it just looks like a bunch of cutscenes just playing out when you're pressing the X button or square. What I'm gonna talk Xbox, okay, Protector, the X button. But like when you go, and it didn't help all that well because on the first island you unlock the Sonic Boom. That's the most broken thing on that island. Like, you could just hold it down and you just kill everything in like 5 seconds. But it doesn't get until the second island where like it really expands, because that Sonic Boom, it does less damage now, and you unlock even better moves like the Spin Tornado, the Stomp Attack, like also auto combo. Never turn that shit on. It not only does it do the combos for you, but it weakens the attacks of the combos, so not worth it.
So basically, they're pointless. But yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm of two minds of the combat, and it very much depends on where in the game I am. If it's against, standard mooks or guardians, I feel like it does very much devolve into mashing the square button to do basic attacks, and then fiddling around with the other face buttons and shoulder and trigger buttons to pull off the cutscene moves like the Sonic Boom, where Sonic just sends energy beams flying with his kicks, and it can shred enemies on the first island, Kronos. In fact, the robots that are surrounded by big white balls, you don't even get to see their attacks if you just run up to them, double jump to ensure maximum airtime, and then just hold L2, and then Sonic machine guns them to death, basically. And it also doesn't help that for a good while, the Sonic Boom is the most ideal move to fill up the Phantom Rush gauge, which if you are going for the combo Crackerjack trophy / achievement, you need to do that 50 times, so guess what I had to do a lot of during my first run. And while it does get put on a backseat as time goes on, once you start unlocking more moves, those just end up becoming more of the dominant strategy. And hell, when the Sonic Boom move becomes truly impractical on Chaos Island, you're not far from getting the cross slash by rescuing Tails. And once you get that, it's like, this is much more ideal filling up the Phantom Rush gauge, and it shreds enemy health like it's nothing, especially if you've been getting the Seeds of Power to upgrade Sonic's attack. And while the moves do look flashy, when I'm having to do them over and over again to take down on the various mooks and guardians, and it's not really all that great, and it doesn't help that a lot of the guardians, in my opinion, are just not all that fun to fight. Ninja
Squid
and the succeeding versions of it, so they're actually kind of fun. Focuses a bit more on the core combat instead of some gimmick, and it is cool to see people how make the most out of the system with them. I would say that Tower is also kind of alright, and the tank in Ares Island, its gimmick at the very least was actually pretty cool to see and experience. But for most of the Guardians, I think that the more specific gimmicks they have often get in the way of their enjoyment. Like, let's get to say out the way now, Squid. It basically devolves into the auto-runner sections, and some Starlight Carnival, from Colors, and well, kind of like the Orphan Stone fights, where you spend most of your time trying to catch up to it and dodging projectiles, only it takes forever even when you maxed out the speed meter, so in other words, your controls all launched to a completely different setting, and you have to kill it in one cycle once you catch up, otherwise you just have to do it over and over again, and to be honest, the spectacle, quote-unquote, of seeing Sonic running on this artificial mid-air road, and the Squid gets old pretty quickly, even when they changes the running rails from Fortress on Chaos Island. Honestly, the only Guardian besides, Ninja, Tower, and maybe Tank that I thought was anyway decent was those, and then I just put it down to silently around 7 points. I used to feel it, and oh yeah, on that note, the silent also feels kind of awkward in combat, and it puts Sonic with the meter, which I think Sonic's special moves, when as with the Sonic, should be restricted to a meter, because then you have to make more use of standard attacks, but even then, standard attacks do quite literally boil down to mashing a square button, and besides that, the only other new move I would that you can mention would be the recovery moves that you can initiate once Sonic's knocked down, but you do have to buy that fucking skill tree. So yeah, for most encounters, I don't think the combat is all that great, and I know a lot of people are going to be pissed at me when I say this. The Werehog still reigns supreme as the king of Sonic combat.
Well, I mean, the Werehog...
And almost purely because the Werehog actually has an extensive list of combos that allows players to mix it up, having, try all sorts of different moves against the various non-dire enemies. And yes, the Werehog definitely uses out the frontiers when it comes to enemy variety. I would also argue that a strength of hack-and-slash titles is the fact that if the combat is good enough, even basic moves can be fun to fight against, and some of the others in Metal Gear Rising, Double Dragon, and of course, the Werehog. I can get quite a bit of mileage with the Werehog combat, and I never really bored with frontier combat tactics. I kind of just tired of the spectacle, at least at the time of the press a couple of months, and trying to expose all the things that I'm not for me. That said, I do end up changing my tune once you get up the cycle.
Oh my god. So, okay, so I love how you start out as not fully powered Sonic, and you have to climb on these monsters that head to their heads to get the final chaos on there. And then once you get that chaos, and that fucking music starts turning on, and you are filled with adrenaline. And then you want to beat the shit out of these things. It's so hype.
What kind of saves the combat in Frontiers, specifically in the Titan fights, from where I'm standing, is the moment, the hype, and the fact that the spectacle you see is a lot more stand out and is, unlike everything else in the game, actually sparingly used so that these moments do have full impact. It's one thing to go up against Squid and just run about for a bit and then catch up and then just wail on it with Sonic Boom with enough attack power to destroy it in one cycle after you've parried it.
You can grab Wyvern.
It's another thing to go up against Giganto, Wyvern, and especially Knight, with them throwing everything and the kitchen sink at you. And yes, they do have their own gimmicks, but I feel like they never get in the way of the core gameplay. If anything, it just adds to the sheer excitement of the moment. And the vocal themes delivered to us by Tomoyo Otani and the vocalist Kellen Quinn from Sleeping with Sirens is some of the best we've ever gotten in the franchise, especially Find Your Flame for Night. That sent me through a religious experience, and it also helps that the end of the fight against the Knight, it involved Sonic lifting its big-ass sword and cutting the thing clean in half, of like this is Final Fantasy Sonic X all over again.
Oh god,
but then again, the finishing moves against the previous two times, Giganto and Wyvern, were equally exciting in their own right.
Dude,
for Giganto,
I know
it's like
how you
pulling a Goku vs Piccolo special, and for Wyvern, and leading to the missiles, pulls into it, and giving and opening its mouth of just wide enough for them to all ram right in and explode it from the inside out, and yeah.
I know that Wyvern
those were the highlight of the game, and I think that is something that should absolutely be expanded upon in future titles.
I think, oh god, I know you mentioned the missiles, but like, you get to, if you do it right, you could pick up Wyvern and throw him into a fucking mountainside. That's the hypest shit on the planet. Also, Find Your Flame's probably the weakest song in the soundtrack for me, in terms of the vocal songs. I always thought Breakthrough It All was the best one. I don't know, probably because Wyvern.
I don't know the songs by name. I would probably know if you said
Breakthrough It All was pretty good too.
I think the Wyvern song is the best one, and the Night song to be the weakest.
Oh, mine's the whatever Giganto.
Oh, that one's
Giganto's music is easily.
Oh yeah,
the best.
that one. The vocal theme for Giganto is undefeatable, also by Kellen Quinn. And honestly, with what we got in the first three Titan fights, Giganto, Wyvern, and Knight, it kind of made Supreme the final boss of easy and normal modes, it's kind of feel flaccid in comparison, and it also doesn't help that it's entirely possible for Sonic to be so overpowered that you can skip entire phases of that fight, which kind of feels like it's being done dirty and it wasn't built with a level 99 in all stats Sonic in mind.
I don't know what it's like because I was like at level 54 of attack when I was fighting him, so I probably got all the phases. But also, I think "I'm Here" is probably a great song. It's just that I just prefer it with
I
the
think
vocals.
that "I'm Here" is a good song. It does have some weird moments, namely, hey, when the vocalist for that song screams, "Time's new horizons," and the instruments just cut out that last part.
That
For the
is kinda
sample
weird.
we got during the pre-release, it did sound a little off, but otherwise, "I'm Here" is pretty damn good. Although, if we're on the subject of boss fights,
The end.
there's also the true final boss for hard mode, the end. It's basically a shmup that goes on for like 4 out of 5 minutes. I think it's based on something called Ikaruga, and honestly, while it is fairly challenging, it also just feels extremely anticlimactic having Supreme basically wail on a giant moon for so long. And what pisses me off the most about it is that it does have moments of invulnerability just so it can finish its monologues, which still makes you susceptible to dying. And just like the hacking minigames it's based off of you only got like 2 hits before you kick the bucket, and there are no checkpoints to this fight. So
I think
yeah, I only went through it just because I was playing on hard mode and figured I might as well. And to be honest, it was not a good end to Frontiers. And it was definitely a bit of a sour point in the game for me. But then again, Frontiers was starting to peter out around onto the 4th and 5th islands, which were just basically sectioned off from Kronos because they share the exact same aesthetic. And Rhea Island, the 4th one, is literally just another half of Kronos. One of the towers on Rhea is even just right in the middle of Giganto's arena, so you can kind of tell that Frontiers also had some problems with being finished. You know, probably because of Sega wanting it out for the holiday season, though it should be mentioned that apparently Takashi Iizuka did actually end up fighting for the game to be delayed to the holiday season of 2022. So, might have been worse, but I do think that part of it should have been a lot more fleshed out, or refined, whatever.
I think that I liked the boss, the end. Like, I played it on hard mode, and
You can
it didn't remind me of Ikaruga. It reminded me of Undertale. If like how you have to be at certain positions to dodge attacks and stuff, like it just reminded me of Undertale more than Ikaruga because I haven't played Ikaruga. But no, the song that also played during the background. Oh, that was so good.
Never really paid much attention to the song. I was just busy focusing on not dying and having to put up with the end's monologue about this and that. And to be honest, the end as the true villain of the story was it barely had any presence. You know, it just, told Sonic that he was the key at the beginning. It'll say something when you try to go out of bounds. And, then it mentions how it's going to destroy the world or something at the end of the 4th island, and then you have to listen to it prattle on if you're playing on hard mode and reach the true final boss. And that's pretty much it. I haven't felt this disappointed in a climax since... Actually, I can't really think of anything, but the point is, Climax
Frontiers
was not really all that great, and it really should have been and much better, because Frontiers, in my opinion, was opening up on a pretty good note. Ares showed it was getting better. Chaos Island was a little iffy, but that ended on a high note with the fight against the Night Titan, and then things just kind of went somewhere from there.
So what did you? I really like this game. I.
Oh shit! We haven't even said anything about Sage.
Sage, I like Sage. I don't have much to say on her. I do think it's weird how they try to do a father-daughter relationship with Eggman, but that's about it.
I mean, to be honest, we've had plenty of villains who do have family relationships, so I guess they were trying to do one with Eggman and Sage, even though Metal Sonic is right friggin' there. But I do think that Sage was a pretty solid character. You know, the cold, emotionless being, developing emotions and understanding and how people with them make the decisions they do is by no means an original plot, but then again, most things in life these days isn't, so that's really not really that big of a concern. And to be honest, I do think she was done fairly well, though the emotional impact of her having to say goodbye to Eggman only matters if you've read all of the egg memos in Big's fishing spots. But I will say that Sage, as a potential recurring character, because, spoilers, the true ending does show that she might come back, I'd say she was well done, and her voice actress, Ryan Bartley, did a pretty good job.
I have to go to the bathroom real quick, so Snackugo, if you want to talk about dump all your thoughts, go right ahead.
So yeah, Sonic Frontiers. It's a game, all right. So let's just chronologically go from how the conversation started to where we're at now. Ian Flynn's writing, wasn't familiar with it going in. What did I think of it? I thought it was kind of okay. I separated the story in my head to like 3 separate arcs. You had like Sage versus Sonic, which is like that conflict. Then you have like learning about the ancients and their origins, which I call the ancients arc. And then you have the friends arc, where it's just kind of like helping out your friends, because this is kind of like, to me, I don't know, not to say that Sonic wasn't majorly involved, obviously he's the main character, but it felt like he was kind of like, in a way, to these characters in their own ways. It's just passing on the torch, or giving them that moment of like, hey, like, yeah, you can do what you want to achieve. And it's like setting up for something that's going to be pretty cool in the future. So I'm interested in that. Okay. I think the voice acting was atrocious, if I'm being quite honest with you. I don't think either of you guys mentioned it.
Actually, I guess since we're on that note, I'm going to just get this out of the way. I already said that Ryan Bartley, the voice of Sage, did a pretty good job. Mike Pollock's more somber Eggman could be a little weird to some, but I do think he did a solid job. Dave B. Mitchell as Knuckles, vast improvement from TSR by leaps and bounds. While he could still improve in some manner, I would say that for his first shot at a proper Knuckles voice, he did a damn good job. Like the prologue animation for Frontiers has Divergence, and it's already shown me that I could expect good things from his Knuckles voice, and, well, Frontiers itself didn't disappoint in that regard. Colina, Shaughnessy is still a solid Tails voice, so I have no problems with her, but I did notice that Cindy Robinson's Amy sounded a lot more deep, and not exactly much like a peppy young girl anymore. And I get, dire situation and whatnot, but it did feel a little dry at times. And then, of course, there's the most controversial part of the voice cast, Roger Craig Smith as Sonic. I sincerely wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt that he could actually pull it off in his style, despite not exactly being the biggest fan of his Sonic voice from Colors to TSR. And sorry to say, it's not changed. Like, I don't think Roger is a good fit for Sonic in general. And that I do think that perhaps a recast for Sonic himself is in order if Roger doesn't want to continue the role in the future. There was that whole thing where there was the possibility of Roger and Cindy and whatnot actually leaving the roles of Sonic and Amy and a bunch of other characters, but I guess it was just because Roger got confused over the whole situation with Sonic Prime. But yeah, not really a fan of Roger's more serious Sonic voice, or the one he's known for from the past. I do wish they kept either Ryan Drummond or Jason Griffith around.
I don't think Ryan
they were
can do
much
the
better
voice.
Sonic voices.
I don't think Ryan could do the voice. I still don't think Ryan can do the voice. I listened to the voice. I listened to the voice he did for when on Twitter when I saw some comment Johnny met Ryan Drummond. He did the voice again. Yeah, I still don't think he can do the voice.
I mean, it has gone on record that Ryan does have a bit of trouble actually doing his Sonic voice on the spot. But I do think that once he's actually given him some time to warm up for it, as seen in Sonic Tales R, he can certainly, I think, do a pretty good job. But
he's
like,
fine.
It is about time we got a new voice for Sonic, like Max Middleman, or
everyone
potentially better
says
yet,
Max
Josh
Middleman.
Keaton.
Everyone says Max Middleman, all because he played Ryuji in Persona 5.
I'm just gonna say this.
I mean,
I'm just gonna say this about Max Middleman. You should stay as far away from Sonic as you possibly can. That's where careers go to die, in my opinion.
Yep. It's like it's like a director working for a Marvel movie. Wants to make a shit movie, they're down the drain.
I'm over it. He should just stay with the series that he's in. Just stay away from Sonic. I'm just, and also say, like, just on the voice acting, I am not as positive as you, Protector. Like, I think Colleen O'Shaughnessy kills it as Tails. Tails is goated.
I think Knuckles was
Sage.
I like Knuckles in this game.
And Sage is fine. I think Sage is pretty good. But, like, everybody else, like, I think Eggman just sounds so tired. He just sounds so, like, lackadaisical about the whole situation. And he sounds like he's just kind of over it. Like, when he's admitting, there's parts when he's, like, admitting to Sonic and, like, or to Sage that he needs Sonic's help. And he's like, come join the Eggman Empire, I guess. Like, I make you an honorary member of the Eggman Empire, or something like that. And it's just like, damn, dude, like, this guy, like, is not menacing in the slightest. And, like, I'm not going to be that guy that compares to other people, like to the other voice actors and stuff like that. I'm just going to take it for what it is. Right. Wasn't it? Knuckles honestly sounded constipated the whole time. He sounded like he just, like, needed to get something out of him that he just never got out. He sounded very, very reserved in a way that I don't think makes him come off well. And there's just, like, certain points where he raises his voice a bit, and it's just like, yeah.
So you're saying you prefer Scott Dreyer?
I mean, I said, I'm not gonna really make comparisons. I prefer Scott Dreyer. I prefer all the adventure voices over the ones we have.
I think the 4 kids' voices are the definitive voices.
Yeah, I mean, I'd even take the kid who played Tails in.
Oh God, no, not that kid.
In Adventure 2 over Colleen O'Shaughnessy. Even though I think Colleen O'Shaughnessy's better.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Snackugo, child actors have never been the best fit for Tails.
Yeah. But, like, I'm just saying, like, from the vibe, like, I just kind of picture that. And then, like, Amy sounds like a huge Karen. She sounds like she's been hanging out with Rouge for too long. She's trying to get, like you mentioned it, like, there's just kind of like a childlike wonder. It's like a childlike perspective, childlike feel that comes from Amy. And does she have to obsess over
Amy's
Sonic?
Supposed to be a peppy teen, and that's full of life and energy,
Yeah, it's like, she sounds like someone, if they lost their keys, she's like, oh no, where did my keys go? Oh no. It's just like that, you know what I mean? God. And then Sonic, like, let me just to give you guys some perspective, Protector, you, like, off Mike told me to play, like, the Boost games. You told me I should try them out, and I tried out Generations. And from, like, the little time I got out of Generations,
wait, little?
Roger Craig Smith sounded, like, fine. Like, he didn't sound like a huge problem. Like, it's definitely, like, in my opinion, just a matter of overacting and not trying to sound like his actual voice. But, like, yeah, like, he was fine. In this game, he's, like, especially, and then, like, I think we talked about it in Jeb's server, but, like, the first 2 islands of the game, he tries playing off this, like, really dark, he tries lowering his tone on purpose. There's, like, a specific conversation he has with Amy, and Amy's like, should I just stand around and do nothing? And he goes, no, but if I'm worried about you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, dude, like, he literally tries sounding like Batman. He tries doing that Batman voice, like, trying to go that octave level. And I'm just like, what are you doing?
I mean, to be honest, Roger has voiced Batman in the past. Remember Batman Arkham Origins?
Yeah, but, like, this ain't the place to bring that acting out. Like, Sonic's not the guy to, like, bring your, like, I get it. He's supposed to sound a bit more serious, but serious doesn't necessarily mean, like, grittier, darker tone coming from your voice.
Do something like Sonic Unleashed, where he sounds calm and collective.
Well, actually, on that note, Jason Griffith was able to have a pretty solid Sonic voice that could apply to any sort of tone. Like, Unleashed was fairly lackadaisical for most of its runtime, and Jason did have a comic collected energy there. Black Knight had its goofier moments early on, and Jason did deliver a more cocky, Sonic voice pretty well, but once Black Knight got serious, Jason never needed to change his voice outright.
Why I love
just sounded like himself, but how it was delivered, it just sold the whole thing, especially once we got to the scene where he tells Melina that even if every world has its end, that's why they gotta have life to the fullest and had time they have. And it's like, no major change in Sonic's voice there compared to Frontiers, where on the first two islands you can very clearly tell that Sonic truly does sound like he's in his late 20s / early 30s. Like, this is definitely not someone who would be in their late teens at the absolute oldest. Also, Sonic characters do not have official ages anymore before anyone asks, but it's irrelevant.
I think we should stop.
These characters still fit into age groups. Back to the whole voice actor thing you were saying, Snackugo.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just think they're all, like, I just think it across the board, except for Sage and Tails, it's not great. And like, maybe it's because, and like, I'm not trying to say that I play games with better voice acting, but maybe it's just because I've heard better voice acting before that, like, it really stands out. Like, when you go from a game like, for example, like Lost Judgment, you're talking about some industry legends, right? In that cast, industry legends, and like, mind you, that's a game that's published by Sega, so it's like within the same doors, hypothetically speaking. So for me, it's just like, the people making the decisions for Sonic, I'm just like, why aren't you looking at your other avenues? And I get the tone is completely different. It's a completely different game. It's marketed for different people, but like, just get okay, like, this person fits this character. Why is that the case? Get the methodology for why it's like that. And I know we got to finish up with Frontiers because we got to like close off. It's been a while, but just to like wrap it up, I think the game from cyberspace is the worst part. You guys were right. I think it's awful. The fact that your movement, like your like progression for speed, doesn't increase is bullshit. Cyberspace also does have some like banger music though.
That's the one thing we haven't talked about,
absolutely.
the music.
I mean, actually, Cyberspace's music, to me, is a bit of a mixed bag, and I'm just going to say this right now. While I absolutely love the vocal selection and Frontiers' OST, sadly, the rest of it makes the overall package follow out to a good. I've never been a big fan of the more ambient tracks in the islands, and the Cyberspace levels, also for the most part, don't really leave me coming back for more. That said, the songs Database and Dropaholic, good listen to them at a drop of a hat.
I think I love the soundtrack. I love the vocal themes. I talked about Breakthrough It All way too. I posted into Gem Server way too many times. It's my next Persona 5 Strikers like battle theme.
And I'll say, so yeah, Cyberspace blows, garbage. It's like the best way I could describe it is if I didn't want to play the Boost games before, this game doesn't make me want to go to them just because they might be faster. For all the reasons you guys illustrated, it's poor across the board. The open zone, I think for the first two islands is cool. It's really, really fun. Like, just moving throughout the obstacle courses into the open zone is really, really fun. The third island, you guys are 100% right. I even think the fourth island has a bit of the 2D-ness. Like, there's just too many 2D sections, and that's when the game's, like, at its worst, in my opinion, when it goes into 2D at any point. So, yeah, not like, just kind of middle of the road. The music's really good. Music's very, very solid. The performance is something I really wanted to highlight. I played on PC. I did play with an ultra-wide mod, but I do want to say, like, it's pretty inexcusable that like the level of poppin' we get in this game. No one brought that up, and I can imagine you playing on a PS4 protector made it even worse. And it's like, I get it, man.
I saw the Digital Foundry video on Frontiers. It was pretty consistent between all the consoles from what I saw.
Yeah, it's just, for me personally, it's just really, really poor. It's inexcusable. It should be something that is one of the first things that should be ironed out when you're crafting a video game, in my opinion.
Maybe they'll fix it in the updates, maybe.
Hopefully, but it's, at the end of the day, when I think of Sonic Frontiers, I could say a lot more, but again, we're running short on time. I think it's like, if I were to give it a score, it's a 5 out of 10. I think it's a decent first step.
It's the most mixed Sonic game you played.
Pretty much, honestly. Like, it's like just the one where I'm like, I really like some of it, but I'm on the other side of the fence. I completely hate it. And it's one of the few games that does that for me, because like video games are usually where I'm level-headed and I'm like, I could kind of be middle of the road on a game, whereas opposed to everything else, I'm like, I either love it or hate it. But that's pretty much my take on Sonic Frontiers. It was okay.
Before we end
my take on Frontiers, because I actually need to go quickly, is this. I do think that controlling Sonic with max settings in the open worlds is great, and there is fun to be had in trying to get all the various memory tokens without having to do the obstacle courses by simply using the movement options. And correctly, I think that time fights are where the combat shines the most, purely because the spectacle is not only used a lot more sparingly there, but also, well, the level of spectacle, I should say, is used a lot more sparingly, and the sheer moment of it goes hard. I do think some elements of the story do work, even if the new origins of the Chaos Emeralds have brought about confusion. I would say that at least half of the VAs, at the bare minimum, did do a solid job with what they were given, and the character interactions were pretty solid for the most part, especially with Knuckles. I would say that there is perfectly good reason to say that Frontiers is a favorite game in the eyes of many, but cyberspace, certain parts of the story, the forced amounts of 2D and whatnot, and the combat just not being all that fun and outside the Titans are reasons why I would probably bump it down to a B tier. Did give it an A at first, but that gets them over the honeymoon phase. But it's cheaper to buy now, so I would say that Frontiers is definitely something worth getting. Just, it's not the best it could be, and I hope to dear God that both Sonic Team and Sega do learn from their mistakes that they've made, not just in the past, but also with this one, and hopefully we can get a much better game 5 years from now? I don't know. Anyways, I gotta have a blast. See you two later.
See you
See you later, Protector. Thanks for stopping by.
Yep.
No problem.
All right, Aiden.
So, I think Frontiers is great. It's my number 10 spot for my top 10 Sonic games. I only didn't like cyberspace. Like, everything else I thought was good to great. And there are some, I do agree with you now. Mike Pollock sounds fucking tired as Eggman now.
It sounds fucking...
you compare Frontiers Mike Pollock to Unleash Mike Pollock, and it's like night and day. But no, I greatly enjoy this game. But no, I think 2022, like I said, it wasn't a bad year. I just keep on forgetting games came out this year.
Yeah, I also played Fire Emblem 3 Hopes, and it was okay. Like, I had a lot of fun with it because I really liked Three Houses.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, yeah, like I played the Black Eagles route, and it's like really cool if you did the secret route in Three Houses, and it's really fun.
If I ever pick up that game, I'm probably gonna do Dimitri, because Dimitri is pretty boy, and I love pretty boys.
Yeah.
But
and I guess wrapping up.
What's your? I am very excited for Resident Evil 4 remake and Final Fantasy 16.
I'm very, very excited. I don't know if this is controversial because of the state.
Oh, like a Dragon Ishin?
No. I'm really excited for Hogwarts Legacy.
I might pick that up. It looks pretty cool.
I'm very, very excited. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding J.K. Rowling. Not going to comment on that.
I'll just say this. Remove the artist from the art. That's how I see it.
Yeah, pretty much. And I would say my number one game. I mean, I am excited for Like a Dragon Ishin. Super excited. I am number one game is Eternights, though. The little indie that could, made by one guy who expanded his team to like 4 or 5 people. Been following the game since day one. Been in the Discord since 2016. It's finally a reality. It's going to come out couple months into 2023. So
I really hope Hades 2's early access gets released next year.
It probably will.
Because
it definitely will.
When that game got announced, I screamed and flipped my chair. That's how excited I was.
Yeah.
Though also Spider-Man 2 should be getting released.
Spider-Man 2. I'm also like, in terms of old games coming back, I'm really excited for Mega Man Battle Network. There's no like, I played the first one on the DS when I was a kid.
I played all of them this year. They're really good.
Other than that, like I have no idea of anything else, but I always liked it as a kid, never finished it, and the fact that it's coming to PC just makes it very easy for me to jump back into it. So excited.
Maybe we could play it on PC and we could do the battling thing since we never tried that before.
True. Yeah, we could try it out.
Anyway,
try it out.
It was nice having you on. This is actually you're actually the first guest of our podcast.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
If you ever want to come by, just let me know, because I'm all down for it. I'm down. I wanted to invite Alec. I wanted to invite Juice. Like, there were contenders, and I thought of you first, because...
No, well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, in terms of content creation, anything you're looking forward to that you're crafting?
Content I'm looking forward to for making next year. I have a video. I actually made a video about what I'm going to make next year, so you'll see that soon.
I will say I have 3 big projects on my mind. One I just finished a script for, and I'm going to do the recording tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got 2 other projects. One of them I can announce. The other one I can't announce. The one I can announce is I've been doing the Flip Screen Games podcast, the game club with them on Persona 5 Royal.
Yep.
And...
Editor me, make sure you put a card on the upper right corner.
Yeah. And I'll make sure to... let them. Oh
yeah,
yeah, it's gonna be really fun. My project is I'm gonna do a Persona 5 Royal video in 2023 once I finish.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be my immediate focus as soon as I finish, regardless of what other games are out at the time. Very excited to do that one.
Oh yeah. Also expect a collab from me very soon if this is out before then.
Alrighty.
Anyway,
wraps it up. My channel should be. I don't know if you're gonna put it in the description.
I'll put it in. It's gonna be in the description. I'll probably make a
Check out my YouTube stuff. I like video games.
We like video games.
Yeah.